All right. So first of all, Sir Smell My Finger is definitely in here. I'm just making sure. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. I'm going to, you should have my screen up. So we are here tonight to talk about, and maybe you can, Sir Smell My Finger, you can explain your situation. Earlier you brought about a question on TradingView about how to possibly combine some indicators because you're in a situation where maybe it's is it the free account or like one of the I don't know how to, the subscription accounts that only allows you like 3 indicators at once, correct?
Yeah, so I'm on my I'm on the free account, and I'm usually at work when I'm doing everything, and I'm on my phone, so I'm always like flipping back and forth from indicator to indicator. And I just wanted to be able to put a few together at one time so I can leave them on the screen at once to get some confluence.
Okay. And are you limited, like how many indicator slots do you have available to you at once?
Just 3.
Just 3. Okay. Okay, so what you requested was, and let me actually take this off. And we're going to start with this. So you requested there's a whole suite, and I hope that I use the right one by Insilco, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we're going to add this. So we have a whole suite, which is basically a more or less an HMA cloud, and that's being creating a signal, a buy sell signal, or a long short signal. And then we had Donchian, correct?
Yes.
And then we had it was Super Trends. Okay, so if you notice, and let's take this off. Okay, so we have over here, let's take this off for now, 3 indicators over here in this slot. And what we're trying to do inside of TradingView is to combine all 3 indicators so they only take up 1 indicator slot. So in the case that you were limited to only 3, I would not be able to add in volume if I wanted to, or perhaps RSI. So in this case, I now have 5 on my chart, but if you're only limited and that number is 3, we could start to combine some of these into one so that we could save some slots. So let's take the RSI and the volume off, which is not relevant for right now. We're going to work with the whole suite, the Donchian, and the Super Trend. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to do, since we're not going to walk through how to get into coding line by line with PineScript. We're just going to simply learn the layman's version of, and I don't want to use this term, but we're going to kind of steal other people's scripts to combine them together for our own purpose. Not to say that we have created some new awesome indicator. This is just specifically to be at the benefit of us using TradingView when we are limited on indicators and want to add more. So the first step here, and to make this easy, what we're going to do is pull up, and you have to remind me, sir, let me know how many, can you guys add tabs on your version? How many tabs can you add up here? Okay, that's okay. Well, we're just going to move on. So we're going to create a new layout. And we're going to work with 3 blank layouts here. Or you can use the same layout. It doesn't really matter. But the point is we want to pull up each indicator. Oops. We're going to want to pull up each indicator on 3 different windows right here so that we can start to look at the code of all 3 indicators. So here's our whole. here's our super trend. Let's get rid of these volumes. And last one will be Donchian. Oops. Okay. So you'll notice if we pull up, and we're going to start with the whole, if we pull up our object tree over here on the bottom right, and we come over to here to our indicator, we can right click and we can find source code. So pull up your source code and it will pull up your Pine editor down here on the bottom. Now we can minimize this so we have more room down here. And because we are working with code right now, it's not so important until we want to know if it's functionable to even really look at the chart. So for now, we're going to pull this up. So right here, you have what essentially is the whole meat of what makes this work up here. This is a study. This is version 4 of PineScript. If you ever find a version 4 and want to convert it, the latest version is version 5, and that's what we're going to be working in, is version 5. So in this case, we would have to first make a script copy of this by doing so. We're going to replace this. So now this is going to unlock this so we can start to add in our own lines, delete lines, and do with it what we want. But you got to remember, we are now in version 5. This is version 4. So anything that's written in version 4 or version 3, you should be able to come up here to the top left, or I'm sorry, the top right-hand corner to these 3 dots and come down to convert to version 5. And so we're going to convert that to version 5, and so that we have consistency with what we're going to do here later when combining all of these lines of code. So this one is ready to go to pretty much copy and paste, because again, we're not trying to create our own code and our own script. We're just using others' work and combining it to help ourselves, save either time, money, or in this case, indicator slots. So let's move on to the next one, which will be the super trend. And we're going to do the same process. We're going to open up the object tree. We're going to right click, go to source code, close the object tree. Let's pull this up. We're already in version 5, so we don't need to do that step, but we are going to make a script copy so that we can come in here and copy this. So this one is ready to go. It's set up. We know we have a functioning code in version 5 for super trend. We know we have a functioning code for version 5 in the whole suite. Now let's come to the Donchian. Same process. Object tree, right click, source code, collapse, pull this up. Not that we need to, because this is a very, very simple indicator. Version 5 already. Most of anything that's going to be TradingView native in TradingView, built by TradingView, if version 5 is out, it's always going to be in version 5. But because the whole suite was written by what we're going to call a third party in this case, they wrote it in version 5 or in version 4, which they still allow to work, but version 5 has different variations on how you will come in here and label your indicators or pull in certain sets of data like your TA studies and such. But same process. We're going to come over here and we're going to make a script copy. Now, we have all 3 of these indicators that we want in version 5 here on 3 separate screens. We're going to go back to our original screen and we're going to take off everything here. We're going to work from the blank. Pull this up, and we're going to actually come over here and go to open, and we're going to go to create new right here, indicator. And yes for now. So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to automatically fill in all this here for you. And just so you know, anything in Pine, if I were to come in here, I can type in // and then I can type in whatever message I want. And it's not really part of the code. It's just there for if someone is viewing the source code to give them direction, and to kind of help create a library in a sense within this script for the reader, whoever is viewing that source. So we can, in a sense, you can put whatever you want up here. We definitely need to make sure that this is here, version 5 in this format at version = 5. No other variation. It needs to be specific to that. Now, in this case, we're building an indicator. We're not building what's called a strategy in this case. We're just simply using an indicator, and we're not building in buy and sell signals or entry and exit to try to help with our trading. It's just an indicator that we're looking at to assist in our TA. So next to indicator is going to be the label. It's going to be the title of your script. So in this case, we can put whatever we want. So we're just going to use for this example, smell my finger indicator, the SMFI. For now, we're going to just go ahead and delete this line because we don't need that. That plot line is irrelevant because we're about to pull in 3 different scripts in multiple lines of code, which will have many different plots and fills. So at this point, we basically have a blank slate. We are ready to start copying over indicators into our own script. We're going to start with the most basic one, which is going to be the super trend. It's going to be the least line of code, I believe. Super trend, it's 1014. Now we're going to start, with the Donchian. So we're simply just going to come in here and we're going to copy everything up until version 5 on this. We're going to hit Control-C, copy it however you want to copy it to your clipboard, come back over. We're going to paste it here. Now, remember, we have already labeled this script as an indicator. We don't need to keep repeating this line. We've already given it a title. So in this case, we are actually going to take out, or for time's sake, we want to make sure that we have overlay as true in this case, because this part of the line up here is going to make sure that it overlays on your chart and it's not something that is going to be posted down below like an RSI on its own in its own window. So in this case, let's get rid of this and actually use this top line, and we're going to hit enter here. And we're not going to keep repeating this line. We're going to give it a different title though. We're going to give it our own title. So on my finger indicator. Short title, we can call it, whatever we want, OP. So we have a title, we have a short title that it can be referred to perhaps in the settings menu. We're telling this indicator that it needs to overlay on top of the chart. And we're not going to get into these time frames, but we're going to just, in this case, this is going to work on all 3 indicators. So we need to leave this the same. So that will be the first line. Line 4 will be our first true line of this script, telling us that we are ready to create an indicator. Now, this part of the script is specifically for the Donchian, right, John? Yes. So here we're going to go // Notice how it takes my text from white to gray. Now we know we're just typing text in and we're not actually adding anything to the code. So this is going to be your Donchian below. And we can even maybe define it further and say 8 through 15, just so the reader knows that all of this line of the code is Donchian. Now let's hit enter a couple times and give ourselves a space, and we're going to come down here and we're going to do the same thing for super trend. And we're going to come to the super trend. And see here, I just wanted to show you, for example, see here, indicator, it's got its title, super trend. In this case, it doesn't have a shorthand title, but notice this part of the code is consistent. And this one is not, but it's going to work because this isn't based off of any time frame in this case. So back to the script, super trend. We need to come to super trend, and we're going to copy, we're going to copy this part, everything but that first line. Come back, come down, add that part in. Now, since we know, and we probably should have checked before we started adding this part of the script in, but at this point, we kind of want to check to make sure that this script is working so that we don't add too many lines in here and have to make too many corrections all at once. It's just easier to kind of do it in the segments. As you add the indicators in, you kind of want to check them to make sure they are working. I'm sorry, I have a cat in the background that's going nuts. So we're going to save it, and we're going to give it a name, and this is just going to be, for right now, Discord test. Save. So now we've saved it. Up here, you'll notice it saved its name. We've given the indicator a name. We have indicated that we are creating an indicator, and we are going to use the native TradingView script for Donchian and super trends here. So at this point, we have it saved, and we're going to add this to the chart. Now, notice that it successfully added this all up to the chart. It added the Donchian and it added the super trends. Now, we're not going to do it right now, but I would suggest opening up another window and, bringing up both your Donchian and your super trends and checking on different time frames to make sure that everything is lining up after you merge them together. So you do want to check yourself for error, but it seems at this point that it's working. So we're going to go ahead and move on. If there was any errors, and let's see here, let me make an error. Let's see here, ATR period. Where is it going to refer? I'm sorry, 1 second. Upper. Here, TA. So perhaps that I actually hit TB in here and I didn't notice it, and I went to save, and why is this not showing on the bottom? Oh, here it is. Down here, you're going to basically have some feedback, and we're going to clear this real quick, clear this console. And because we already saved it, we need to add something so we can save it again. So now we're going to save this script and see how it told me line 10, and then it gave me a reason of why line 10 is holding us up. It said it could not find the function reference TB highest. It's like, oh, well, shoot, I meant actually TA in that case, because I'm trying to pull a TA study, which is a built-in indicator inside of TradingView so that you don't have to do this. TA command saves you from doing multiple other lines of code, but that's for another video on Pine. We're going to kind of move on past that. I was just trying to show you an example of if you do have an error somewhere in here, this is where it's going to show up. This is how you identify it. And then you have to kind of backwards engineer yourself to figure out how to fix it. But trying to make this as simple as possible. Save. It added it up there. See, now it added it back up to my chart. I know it's working. So we are 2/3 of the way there. Last one, whole suite. So again, we don't need to do this again. We're just going to take everything below it, which will be this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come down here to the last line, and we're going to do, this is whole suite. Okay, so at this point, I just want to make it very clear that because we are using another person's hard worked for script that was kind enough to put this out into the public and let us know, you know, hey, this is my work. You guys are free to look at the source code, use it as you please. We want to make sure that if you plug something in, even if you're just using it for yourself and you never share it, at least go in here and credit the person that created those lines of code. It's like, you know, in any kind of copyright or trademark. True Demon can probably speak better on this because he's an actual coder, but we don't want to be ripping off people's work and then acting like it's ours. So very important at this point, because we're going to take Insilico's scripts that we make some kind of credit to Insilico for all lines below. And we can probably say something a little bit kinder and go on about that. But for right now, for example's sake, we're just going to leave it there. So everything below is going to be our whole suite. Let's hit enter again, just to give ourselves a little space and order. And we're going to copy our code down. Now let's hit save. Now we're getting some errors. See how it took away the overlay up there because there is an error. So now we need to go find and backtrack those errors. This might get a little confusing, so you can always clear your console and just kind of come into here to one of the text lines and add some kind of text and save it again, just to know that this is the only part that you're looking. But just kind of keep track with it in your mind. Right now, the only problem is, for right now, is line 39. It got all the way through the code and said, oh, nope, here at line, we're good all the way up till 39, and I got a problem. So we need to look at what that problem is. And this is where it's going to get a little harder if you are not familiar with Pine or really how to backtrack these problems. But because we do have one in front of us here, I will show you how to find the solution to this. So line 39, it's telling us length is already defined. Well, okay. So what do we have here on line 39? It says length equals an input, and then that input is defined here. Okay, well, the length is already defined. So maybe somewhere in my code, this word has already been used to start a line of code, and the code just does not like it. It wants me to use basically a new starting word or a new title. It doesn't want me to double up titles. So we have to go back and find, is there somewhere else in the code that length is being used? Well, let's go up and down and find, and we can hit Control F and find that, but we're just going to scroll through it right now and see if we can find something. Excuse me, I need to get some water. And right here for Donchian, you see it up here, length. And so that's probably what's holding us up, because we have two lines of code that say length equals input, and TradingView is like, hey, which one am I doing here? You told me 8, but now you're telling me again at 39 length. Well, simple solution. All we really got to do is, we're just going to say this is length 1. And that simply is going to get rid of that naming problem. But the problem might not stop there. So let's see. Let's go ahead and save that. Oh, now it's telling us line 9. Okay, well, why is line 9? It's telling me the same word, length. Oh, well, that's because I changed this up here. This used to match right here, length. Used to match length up here. We changed that to length 1, so maybe let's try to change that to length 2. And because length is down here, I bet you we probably need to do that there as well for consistency. Save. Processing script. Okay. So now we don't have any coding errors. We just have some visual errors that it's telling us the transparency argument is kind of invalid. It's telling us to use some new colors, transparent. It doesn't really like the way that it looks, but that's okay because it is visible. And I believe, yes, we can come in here and we can alter any of these colors if for some reason something isn't visible and not showing up. But for the code's sake, it is now in there. And so we now have one indicator that takes up 1, 2, 3 slots, or that did take up 3 slots. So that is one, and it's not always going to work that smoothly. There's some indicators that are going to be very difficult to merge with each other, especially when it comes to things like volume and like getting into RSI and combining these things. It's not as simple as just copying and pasting sometime. But for the more, for maybe half of them, this methodology could be used to save yourself some time. And it wouldn't take any reasonable person but more than a few weeks on YouTube listening to some videos on PineScript and learning the very basics of it, and simply learning how to write your first TradingView indicator by copying and pasting just like this. Because from here you can get into finding those few errors that we just went into, which really will kind of help you build when you go to make something fresh from scratch. So at this point, is there any questions?
No. This is recorded, right?
This is recorded, correct?
That's it.
Okay. So at this point, let's see here. Let's pull this back up. Pine Editor. So we have 80, 84, we have 76 lines of code here that represent 3 different indicators that either someone else within the TradingView community has already coded or TradingView themselves has given us. So this is maybe an example also of just using collective common knowledge from a group and using it for yourself and catering it to your own needs.
Hey, OP.
Yes.
Whenever we come across the link there, we could have changed that in the whole.
Yes.
Instead to come all the way back up.
Yes.
You could change it
yes.
on down there.
Correct. I just wanted to go through for visual purposes. I wanted to go through and visually find that with our eyes. I knew what to do in that situation because I did it earlier this afternoon and I've done it before, but for video purposes, I scrolled back up, but yeah, we could have picked the whole, which, might have not been a better idea because there might have been more to change in the whole itself. This is just a few lines of code and it was just easier to change. So, that's also something to maybe think about in this situation. If you got to change something, maybe pick something that doesn't appear 20 times or, 10 times, and it only appears twice in the whole script.
Yeah, because the John Chen had a lot fewer lines of script that you would have the chance to have to change.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So you can do the same thing with, I know you can, there's many scripts that have, for like moving averages that have ribbons. So you can have, 5 different moving averages on one indicator. But some people like, moving averages, EMAs, HMAs, and all those things can be approached the same way as what we just did. If you want to take a moving average and an EMA and an HMA and you want to combine them all into one indicator that's just for you, that that you can use, it's defaulted to set exactly how you want it. It looks the way you want it to look. Maybe you use two SMAs, 2 EMAs, 1 HMA, and you want to throw in super trend on top of that. You can cram that all into one indicator, absolutely, and you can have one indicator slot, and then you have 2 others to use to kind of switch out for with whatever else you're trading. Whether that's volume, RSI, whatever it is.
I was going to say, you can add as many different sources in as you want?
In theory, yeah. You're going to be limit. I mean, there's got to be a limit. There's got to be some kind of limit, because I've come across the idea of trying to combine some indicators, and I'm still trying to work through errors after error, and I just can't get them to work. And so either I personally, which is probably the case, just don't know enough yet about Pine to get it to work, or something tells me that there's certain things that just can't be meshed together into one overlay. I don't know. I am not an expert in Pine. That's not what I'm here to claim. I just want to. It was a really good question brought up by Sir Smell My Finger, and I just happened to kind of be going through the same thing myself, and have kind of found out the answer through Pine. So.
Doesn't it become a little bit more complicated, like the more you add, like visually know what you're looking at if you throw too much into one?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to cram the screen up too much. I mean, you don't want to throw 20 indicators on the screen. I guess if you're day trading and you're looking at a fast chart and you need a lot of data right then and there, then yeah, you probably need, I could see it being reasonable to have 6 indicators, 7 indicators up. That's okay. But if we're sitting here on the weekend, and I'm just going to take this off. If we're just sitting here on the weekend, there's no reason why we can't just look at a moving average and just do a moving average study, and look at one thing at a time. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it. Now, you don't sometimes get as big of a picture altogether, of course, and you kind of have to mind map individual indicators when you do that. But it does start to perhaps clutter up the chart when you start adding too many things to the chart. So it just, depending on your trading style, I would say that, on average, there's probably, I'm using 3 indicators, but one of them is just actually what we're talking about, and that's using multiple. Here, let me clean this up now. This is a mess. Get rid of this. So this is a personally built indicator for myself that is just EMA, SMA clouds with a HMA that moves through as a fast signal. And that's just personally over years of trading. That's just when I look at the SPY. This is something that I now love to look at when doing studies on the larger time. I mean, even fast time frames, time frames, slow time frames. This is a great example of just pulling, and we can pull the source code up for this. So it's not too much. Let's pull this down a little bit. Get rid of RSI. So we have a couple clouds. We have 2 clouds. Those 2 clouds are defined by 2 boundaries, which is 4 lines. So we're essentially just we're plotting 4 lines, which are our moving averages, and we're giving direction to the chart to fill 2 of those lines under certain conditions. So depending on where, either the price is relative to the moving average, or possibly your fast signal HMA is relative to your cloud, could alter the color of your cloud to kind of give you a visual representation. Now, you can also do the same thing with background fills. So you'll notice on my screen there's a gray, a dark gray, a light gray, and a black portion of my screen. Of course, black is the future, so there's nothing there. And the light gray is representing an EMA crossover, and that's kind of letting me know here, so I don't always have to actually refer up to my EMA specifically and know, okay, is that my 50 and that's my 60, or which one was that? I just kind of know if it's light, I know it's under. If it's dark, I know it's over. But that's personal to me. That's very specific to my brain is trained to look at that color and know exactly what that color means. Same with the candles. The candles are, and this is all in this script right here, and this is only 40 lines of code, but it's giving you two EMA clouds, an HMA line. It's giving you background fills for your EMA crossovers or SMA crossovers. And it's also giving you volume indication without having to throw volume itself down. So, you know, this is, if you want to try to walk yourself into Pine and learn the basics, I mean, I wouldn't say that this wouldn't take any of you here listening could easily get this done and train your brain to do this in the next month or so. If you put your mind to it over the, you know, you study this thing for 8 hours a week for the next 4 weeks, and you can probably come in here and build your own indicator that would look very similar to this. And you're not going to claim that you're a coder or you're a Pine master, but you'll have something in your tool belt and something that you can claim that a skill that you have picked up.
How are you indicating your volume in your candles?
So in this case, let's see here. Let's pull this up. No. And here it is. Okay, so here it is for this specific indicator on. There's a lot of color up here, which it defaults to some weird colors, which I need to change. But you'll notice the candles have a variation of blues and greens and reds and oranges, which is taking a look back period. And I believe the look back period in this case is set to default to 10. Yes. So it's looking at the last 10 candles and it's telling you the relationship of price and volume. So is price is price down and volume up? If the answer is yes, then it's red. Is price down and volume is down, then the answer would be orange. If price is up but volume is down, the answer would be blue. If price is up and volume is up, then the answer is green. So this is giving me the ability to not have to look at a bar chart of volume candles. I can just kind of put this in here and kind of know as price is tracking here on the chart what volume is doing in relation. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, because that sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah. And so
Is that derived from the candle color in BG by any chance?
the candle color in BBBG. Where are you talking? Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about up here.
I was just wondering where the code for that the volume built into the candle colors.
Right here.
Which indicates
This part that I have highlighted in gray. So this is defining your periods of what we're looking at, and this is defining how to color what we're looking at under what conditions. So we're saying for condition to be colored green, we need the PX to be greater than the PZ and the VX to be greater than the VZ. So that's basically saying is the current greater than the look back period. The look back period greater than the current in this case, because PZ is your look back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I was actually wondering which indicator that code came from originally.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. And this is why,
No worries.
this is probably one of my earlier, one of the first ones that I did. And this is, again, why you want to always put in credit.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you. That's a very good point. And I'm putting, kind of kicking myself here for not doing that. But this one is going to be a lazy bear colored bars scripts, and his code is right here. No. And boom, right there. It's it's probably version 3 or 4. Notice that it says study. Version 5 does not take the command study. You have to replace that word. So if we wanted to use this, we would make a script copy. And now I don't believe it might automatically do it for us. So let's actually try it. No, see how in this time it's not allowing me to convert to version 5 because it does not have that command. It does not have this right here. So we can either add that or possibly add it as a 4 and try to convert it. Or in this case, I just kind of know that version 4 to 5 requires me to come in here and replace study with indicator. And let's take off to make sure it works. This. And let's save this. Okay, and check. So we have been good. Add a chart. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It gave us an error. That's right. So it could not find the function or reference indicator. Why is that? Indicator. And so we're going to come back here. Oh, is it because we have no overlay? That's probably why. So we need to add in overlay equals true so that we can overlay it up there. Maybe not. And so this is the point where you start going to trial and error. And it might be because we do not have this up there. And now we're missing some syntax. So it's giving us an error at line 13. It's saying that something's open. So we have too many. Nope, that was not it. So, and this is where you have to start to go in and understand. And I couldn't even tell you really the terminology of even just explain what this is that we're looking for. So at this point, I just want to let you guys know this starts to get a little past me. But basically what it's telling us is, see how it's giving us these parentheses and telling us syntax error at input. And so there's something wrong with the way this is formatted, specifically on line 13, because it's open. It opens itself here.
Is it the space in between C equals and then the beginning?
No, that's not going to be it. We could try though, just so we can cross that off the list, but no, that's not going to be it. No, that wasn't it. So typically, and I think, how did I have, let's add on mine, because I obviously found the solution when I created a version 5 of it. So let's do this. And actually, we want to leave that open, so let's add it up here. Spy. And open this source code. And we can come down here. And we know that, let's see here, we have this overlay true. See, I don't even really know how I came to this conclusion. Let's copy this just so we can compare it. And this again is just really trial and error here. So let's take this down so we can compare line 9 through 21 to this. And what would be different? It would be the way that C is defined. So we would need, again, at this point, we would need to go in, and for some reason, it just does not want to allow us to copy and paste because it's an older version. There's obviously something in here that I'm not familiar with changing, but at one point figured out how to do because I put it into my own damn indicator and it's functioning. But this would be, I guess, more of the proper way to copy it over. If you wanted to add in lazy bears, would be specifically this portion. It would be the look back. So this is defining your look back, your MAs, your MA length, and then a definition for your close of your price, your volume, and then your look back periods. And then again, telling the script how to take that data and how to color it under what conditions they need to be colored. This is a fairly simpler way to write this out, honestly, than how it's defined. Where was lazy bears? Oh, I'm getting this mixed up now. Where'd you go? Am I just rambling? Please feel free to talk over me if you guys need to.
No, I think we're going through it just the way you are.
Yeah, I don't mind being an idiot on camera and stumbling through this. That's not what I was looking for either. Come on, Occams. We're looking for lazy bear. Colored volume. Add it. Pull the script up.
No, this is how it actually works. This is
This is
actually going through the motions.
This is what I've been doing for months now, trying to figure this out. I mean, it eventually, trial and error, you start plugging away and stuff starts working. Now,
Nope.
I think that it's important that you don't just continue to do that, but try to understand what you're plugging in and taking out so that you're not just like, shotgunning cards at at the wall and hoping something sticks. Now, let's see here. So he's defining his lookbacks, his lengths, his price, the lookbacks, the volume, and then he's defining, or she, them, defining conditions, and then giving it a plot. The way that I did it was that I'm simply doing the lookbacks, the MAs, the close, the volume, the lookbacks. We're giving it an input, an overlay that's true, and then colors. And we're using, this is probably what it is. See this bar color? That's not present here. This was done in an older script, and this format and completion is probably just no good. Regardless of how hard I probably try to go and fix line 13, it's never going to be congruent with all the way down to 16. So my best guess is at one point I probably took that and came to this problem and got online and either went through his comment section under his script post or went into TradingView to understand how to color bars and came across this specific command, which gives command to bar color. So it's just specifically saying in TradingView, this is already built in. You can tell the bars to color in under these conditions. And these values here need to be defined up here so that the bar color knows what it's talking about. I think that makes a little bit more sense.
That makes total sense.
That sounded better in my head.
Is that something that possibly changed from version 4 or 5?
Yes. Yeah. That's definitely something. This is going to be, and we could look real quick. Let's go to Lazy Bear. How do we do this? Let's just go like we're adding it and type in Lazy Bear and go to his name or her name or their name. Let's see here. Scripts. Oh, Lazy Bear's got a lot of scripts. Oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever gone through their page like that. Oh, no, it's a volume. Jeez. Can I search through these? Oh, color bar. Here we go. I found it. Okay, so check this out. This was written in 14. So there has to have been. I'm not going to say for certain, but there's been at least one version change since then. Probably multiple. This was probably 2014. I believe TradingView was like 2011 when they came around. So they were probably working on version 2 or something back then, which is why we're not able to get that working in version 5. This whole definition of telling the bars how to color just does not work in version 5. And this would be the correct version. Not that I am not claiming that I'm correcting Lazy Bear in any way. It's just that you would have to write it this way to do the same code in version 5 if you're writing it purely in version 5.
You probably can't save it or publish it using the old code, but possibly his old indicator still works because it was published under an old version, so it knows how to run in an old version.
Yeah, so I believe that TradingView will allow most of them to run. Sometimes they won't, and they make you get into converting into version 5. But I think they also know that, like, hey, we can't just change versions on people because it could kick out all these people's indicators. So that is, I'm sure, taken into consideration when they are making version changes on how do we make sure this adapts to what everyone has already written into TradingView. The community has put a lot of time and effort. We can't just shut them out because we want to make a new version and give you a new update.
It makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And that also brings up a great point. If you're rifling through other people's indicators and you're looking to make a hybrid, keep your eye on what version it is, because you're going to end up changing a lot of stuff if you're trying to recycle someone's old indicator, right?
Exactly. So in that case that we did Lazy Bears, this one doesn't even have a version on it to define. So we don't even know. We tried to convert it to 5. There wasn't an automatic conversion. We tried to go in and fix line 13 after an error, and just kind of, you can sit there and, if I didn't know anything, I could probably spend a couple hours on line 13 and get absolutely nowhere. And then you'll know for the next time, like, okay, this is kind of futile. I'm trying to fix this syntax thing. I've changed my parentheses. Like I'm counting. I make sure that they're all there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I should have 4 to close. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm good. What is wrong with that syntax? Well, maybe it's a version issue. So
could you maybe just take away the gray because of the version?
The gray. Oh, because you're giving it 2 different gray, if not.
Right, because of a different version, it may not. You see what I'm saying?
You could try, absolutely. So let's try. Let's make a script copy. I gotta delete all these later. Oh my god. Save. No.
Welcome to coding, folks.
Script copy.
And just to throw another thing out there to get to later, do you just save it under a name and then it appears under indicators?
So yeah, so like in this case here, let's do this again. So if we pulled up Lazy Bears and we pulled up his source code and we wanted to do something with it, see how it's locked? I can technically come in here and copy this if I want, but I can't come in here and do anything to it itself. I have to make a copy before I can edit this at all. That's done right here, make a copy. Now from here you can name the script copy yourself, so you can just, however you want to say, just OP color MA whatever, save. And so now we have, see right here, it changed it from colored bars Lazy Bear to OP color MA, and it unlocked my screen, so now I can come in and interact with this. Let's see here. Right here is where, so it's going to show up here as the name of my script, but over here is different. So notice right here it says study. Of course, if this was version 5, we would again have to put indicator right here. This is going to be your title. This quotations, it creates yellow, that's text. So here we can put, whatever text we need here. And then we can give it a short title. This isn't even really necessary. Now, this is important. And this is probably one of the good basic things just to know. So you're creating an indicator. You want to overlay it on your chart, or do you want to have it down in its own separate window? Well, most of us are going to overlay, excuse my typing skills, overlay. And then because this is mathematical, we have to put that in as equals true. It's to say that overlay is turned on. I don't know why I'm doing this, because we're not going to get this to work, so I can't add it. But that's how you would essentially start. If you were trying to update and copy over someone's, you would want to make sure that your indicator line is started with that, and then you would follow from there and copy in whatever else that you need. And just know that you don't need that line multiple times. You've already said it's an indicator. You've given it a name, so that when you save it and add it to the chart, it'll add it over here and it'll show up as this name right there.
Perfect. And that shows up in scripts over on the right-hand side, I'm guessing?
In scripts on the right hand. Yes, yeah, that'll show up on your object tree if it's added to the chart. And then as you search for it, so like, here, let me open up, let's do this. Get rid of this. Get rid of you. Open you up. Source code. So, we're in this. I'm sorry, ask your question. I totally just had a brain fart. Ask your question again, Todd.
All right. Well, let's just, for example's sake, use the one that you now have on the screen. That's your SPY options layout. That's one of the hybrid ones that you made.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
When you go to find it, whereabouts is it on your selections? Is it under indicator?
I gotcha.
Or is there?
So let's take this off. So we got a fresh chart. I want to find it. I simply, in my case, I know that it's called SPY options layout. I have it in my favorites already, so it's going to show up top. But if we don't want to do it that way, we can just hit /, come down to my scripts, and then boom, you have my scripts right here. And now you can see all, I have different variations and stuff that I've been working on, merging some things together, trying to add some color to some things that don't have color, and variations that just work for me. But this is where it's going to show up, is all of your scripts are saved into a very specific folder. They'll show up in favorites if you save it as a favorite, but that will be cataloged right here. This will be all of your TradingView native. This will be your financial indicators. The community scripts will be where you're going to find your colored lazy bars. So community is built by the community. This is, again, just TradingView native, and then you yourself. And once you, so say that we want to, say I want to release this. And actually, this is a bad example. Let's go back to the SPY. I think I kept pulling that up for a reason, because I wanted to move on to this point. So say we wanted to publish a script. And even though we have taken others' work, it's okay that we publish it. Like maybe there's some people on Discord that want to, they say, hey, I like that indicator. Can you share it with me? You say, yeah, sure, I can publish it. So we've made a script, and really it needs to, oh, this wasn't the one that I wanted. I'm sorry. It's going to be OP clouds. No, it's not. OP candles. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me 1 second. I have to go here and find it. Close my scripts. It's going to be...
As he rifles through the hundreds of indicators he's played with. or made and played with, I should say.
Well, yeah, I mean, this again. I'm not doing this to show off. These are a lot of these are just copies to make sure that I have different. Even though I can go back in versions right here, you can always go back in versions. I like to kind of at some points kind of copy them over and add new names and kind of make some notes in my journal to kind of know where I'm at. Which I wish I would have brought my journal over to my office, but I don't have it with me. Because I'm actually.
I totally understand. I wasn't inferring that you were off. I was just more so pointing out the trial and error, and I totally understand saving things under different names as you feel like you've progressed and maybe it somewhere that you wanted it to. So you're like, oh, I'm going to name it this now.
Yeah, because in that list, there's really only 4, 5 things that are working in this list that I've got to work, and some of them are just straight up copies that I just made a minute ago, so which I need to get rid of. But once you have something that is functioning and you do want to publish it, whether that's a public publish or a kind of an invite only private publish, you're going to want to make sure that the reader and the other person knows where your brain was going. And that's really where it's going to you're going to want to start breaking down your code into sections and explaining, like, okay, well, this is what my code looks like, but how the hell do you use it, Occams? Well, I can, instead of making a full post and putting it on TradingView, which TradingView does require you to do, they want you to do a write-up, a legitimate write-up, explain your indicator as you post it, and not just post random stuff out there and clutter the TradingView universe with just, indicator after indicator. So they do put a barrier up, and they will take it down if you don't legitimately have a reason of why you're trying to publish it. Now, that's for the public side. If you want to publish this privately and just share this with people and give them a code and a link to be able to be invited into that, and you can approve who uses it and who doesn't, that's a different story, because you're more on a, maybe that's between, us here talking. We want to just share something among us. Well, maybe we don't need to write stuff like this in, because we can get on VC on Saturday night and we can talk through it like this, and we can go back through videos and we can kind of watch what happened. So, but if we were to put this out in the public, it would need to be more formatted, something like this, to make sure, again, these / are giving me the ability to write in text, just to kind of author around the script itself, to put English language to the math, if you will. So, yeah.
Hey, Occams, your TradingView, I can go and follow it, right?
Yeah, you can follow me.
How do I do that? Because I don't know how to do that on TradingView.
You're gonna want to go up to, like I just did. Here, if you're walking, you have your icon up here. You click on it, you can hit profile. It'll bring up your profile page, and then you can go to, let's see here. I believe you can search just for, no, it's not there. Hold on, let me find it. I think it's under community. No. How do we do this? Let's find out how to do this. This is a really good question. How do you find other people on here? Todd?
Actually, just before you got here, we were having this conversation, and I told him I've never tried to follow anyone in particular either, so I'm not sure how to do it.
Well, let's see here. So we're going to have, I know this will be chats, ideas.
He's doing what I did earlier.
How do we do this? So we know earlier that we could search by a user if they've published something. We know that if they publish something on their page, it can be found. I mean, if they're on editor's picks, it'll be found here. it'll be, anything will be found here. If you're posting under stocks, there should be a way to search. Maybe I'm just people. Okay, right here. Boom. So it's up here. So you go to your, let's do this, profile page, search, or you can hit Control K. It's giving us a hotkey command. And then it's going to default you to the symbols, but this is what tripped me out because I'm used to looking at just this page and not having this tab, which is people. And popular search. Now how do I, so search through users' names, Occam's, phaser, and there I am, right there. And there's another Occam's phaser with the correct spelling. Son of a bitch.
What a commie.
Get out of here. Okay, so I actually haven't made a, jeez. I've been playing too many spy options, I can tell you that much. I didn't want to bore people to death in the last couple months hedging. So, next topic of discussion. You guys have any, you guys want to move on from Pine and from that specific indicator? Sir, smell my finger. I didn't really, I think I asked you if you had any questions. You said you're okay, but I just want to circle back with you if you're still here. Do you have any questions on anything that we've gone over?
No, I'm good. I'm just watching.
Okay, all right. Let's see here. Actually, go back here.
I can see many sleepless nights playing with all of this, with a bunch of us in voice chat, all trying to rifle through and figure out what we want to throw on the screen on top of other indicators.
Hey, I mean, that is one excellent way to learn it. I mean, it's one thing to sit there and do it yourself in isolation, but hell, if 10, just think of the power that you start to create when 10 people next month know, and then one of those 10 people, knows enough, and they got it a little bit better than everyone else to where they can go and teach 10 people. And then in a year's time, there's thousands of people that know how to create indicators, and I don't know, they just I like TA too much, I think. I'm gonna shut up.
No, please don't.
Well, OP, because of what you were able to show me, I am now a follower of yours on TradingView.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.